Some people walk into a room and immediately spark curiosity, not because they are loud or flashy or trying to impress, but because they are composed, quiet, watchful, different. These are the people others talk about in hushed tones. Who is he? What is her story? Why does it feel like they know something the rest of us do not? That kind of mysterious presence is not accidental. It is earned. It is practiced. It is built over time by mastering a few powerful behaviors. And the ancient Stoics understood this better than anyone. They were not interested in popularity. They did not chase applause. They cultivated self-command. They lived according to inner values, not public approval. And that made them different. Not weird, not isolated, but magnetic. Because when a person is deeply grounded in themselves, they give off an energy that cannot be copied. They become unpredictable in the best way. Calm when others panic. Silent when others brag. Focused when others are distracted. And in a world addicted to validation, they stand out without trying. This is why the Stoics were often misunderstood and admired at the same time. People did not always agree with them, but they noticed them. Because mystery is not about hiding. It is about knowing who you are so clearly that you do not need to be understood. In this video, we are going to explore 5 Stoic behaviors that do exactly that. They will make you harder to read, more difficult to manipulate, and far more powerful in the eyes of others. These are not tricks. They are deep psychological tools. And once you begin to practice them, people will sense something different in you. They will lean in. They will ask fewer questions, but watch more closely. Not because you are pretending to be mysterious, but because you are learning to master yourself in a way that very few do. If you are tired of being predictable, if you want to move through the world with silent strength and quiet depth, this is where it begins. The Stoics knew that still water runs deep. And if you stay with this video until the end, you will understand why silent self-control and simplicity do not just make you strong. They make you unforgettable. Behavior 1. You control your reactions and reveal nothing too soon. One of the most powerful Stoic behaviors that creates instant mystery is the ability to control your reactions. In a world where people wear their emotions on their sleeves, where every slight becomes a dramatic performance, and every opinion demands a response, the one who remains still stands out. This is not about being cold. It is about being composed. It is about knowing that your reaction is your power, and when you give it away too quickly, you become predictable. The Stoics believe that between stimulus and response there is space. And in that space lies your freedom. That space is what separates the reactive from the resilient, the emotional from the grounded. Most people reveal too much too fast. They reveal what angers them, what excites them, what scares them, what flatters them. And in doing so, they give away the map to their emotions. But the Stoic gives no map. They listen without reacting. They observe without judgment. They pause before speaking. This alone creates an atmosphere of mystery. People start to wonder, what is he thinking? Why is she so calm? Why can I not read him? And that wondering builds curiosity, which builds magnetism. Marcus Aurelius wrote that you have power over your mind, not outside events. And when you realize this, you will find strength. This is not just philosophical advice. It is psychological mastery. When you do not react immediately, you take control of the frame. You decide how to respond, when to respond, and if it is even worth responding at all. In that space, you gain leverage. People who cannot control their reactions are easy to manipulate. They are like open books being read by anyone. But the Stoic closes that book and writes the story intentionally. They train themselves to observe their first impulse, but not obey it. This creates emotional distance, and that distance gives them clarity. It is this clarity that confuses others, because most people expect a reaction. They expect to press your buttons and see what happens. But when there is no visible reaction, they are left with uncertainty. And uncertainty makes people pay attention. That is the secret. When you are emotionally silent, you force others to feel your presence instead of hearing your opinions. And that presence lingers longer than any argument. Controlling your reactions is not about bottling up your feelings. It is about mastering them. It is about having the strength to carry emotion without letting it carry you. The Stoic does not need to prove they are strong. Their silence already shows it. Their stillness is their defense. Their calm is their message. This makes them difficult to read and impossible to shake. And the more others try to get a reaction, the more mysterious they become. Because mystery is not about silence alone. It is about intentional silence, purposeful restraint, strategic pause. When you reveal nothing too soon, you make others work to understand you. And in doing so, you shift the balance of power. In every interaction, remember this: you do not owe anyone your emotional transparency. You do not need to explain yourself to be valid. Let people wonder. Let them guess. Let them project. Because while they are busy trying to read you, you are quietly choosing your next move. That is the first Stoic behavior. Control your reactions and reveal nothing too soon. It will confuse your enemies, attract your allies, and most importantly, it will remind you that power is not in being loud. It is in being unreadable until the moment it matters. Behavior 2. You speak rarely but with precision. One of the most powerful Stoic behaviors that draws attention without trying is the ability to speak rarely and with precision. In a world obsessed with constant chatter, this simple practice turns you into someone people notice. Why? Because most people speak too much and say too little. They fill the air with noise, hoping to be seen or heard. But the Stoic chooses silence first. They listen. They observe. They study the room before they enter it with words. This alone sets them apart. The fewer words you use, the more people begin to value them. Silence becomes your foundation. And when you finally do speak, your words carry the full weight of your presence. That is what creates mystery. People do not know what you are thinking. They do not know when you will speak or what you will say. And so when you do speak, they stop and listen. This is not a trick. It is discipline. Marcus Aurelius wrote that waste no more time arguing what a good man should be, and just be one. This is the essence of Stoic speech. Let your life speak first. Let your actions carry your message. Let your words be few but full. The Stoic does not speak to impress. They speak to clarify. They do not argue to win. They speak when it is useful and silent when it is not. Most people speak from fear. Fear of being forgotten. Fear of being wrong. Fear of being judged. But the Stoic speaks from strength. They are rooted in purpose, not performance. And that is why they are so hard to read. You do not know where they stand until they choose to show you. You cannot predict them because they are not reactive. They are deliberate. Their speech is clean, simple, and sharp. No gossip. No noise. Just truth. When you learn to speak this way, people will begin to notice. Not because you are loud, but because you are rare. And what is rare is respected. This behavior gives you power without force, influence without effort. And most importantly, it teaches you to value your own voice. That is the real lesson. The less you say, the more intentional you become. And the more intentional you become, the more powerful your voice becomes. In a world that talks too much, say less. Say only what matters. And let your silence carry the rest. Behavior 3. You move without announcement and achieve without applause. There is something deeply unsettling to people about the person who works quietly and wins without seeking attention. The Stoic moves in silence not because they are hiding, but because they are focused. Most people feel the need to broadcast every step of their journey. They want applause before the result, recognition before mastery. But the Stoic knows that progress does not need to be seen to be real. It only needs to be made. That is what makes them mysterious. Their life unfolds quietly. Their discipline is invisible, and their results speak long after the noise of others fades. Seneca once said that he who does good should not expect recognition, because virtue is its own reward. This is not just an ancient ideal. It is a mindset for those who want real strength. When you stop announcing your plans, you remove the pressure to perform. You do not need to prove anything. You just act. You build. You train. And the world sees only the outcome. That is what confuses people. They do not see the grind. They only see the grace. And that contrast creates power. The Stoic does not need validation. They do not seek it. And because of that, they become difficult to manipulate. You cannot control someone who does not crave approval. When others spend their time showing the journey, the Stoic walks it in solitude. And that solitude is sacred. It is where clarity is built, where strength is refined, where intention becomes action. The most mysterious people are not hiding. They are simply uninterested in performance. They are too busy becoming. And that is what makes them magnetic. In a world of endless declarations, they remain silent. In a world of fake progress, they produce real results. And when they succeed, it looks effortless because the effort was never on display. If you want this kind of presence, stop telling the world what you are going to do. Just do it. Let your actions speak louder than your marketing. Let your progress become visible only when it is undeniable. Move without announcement. Achieve without applause. That is the third Stoic behavior. It will not only confuse others, it will strengthen you. Behavior 4. You do not chase validation or belonging. The Stoic walks through life differently because they are not chasing the things most people are. They are not desperate to fit in. They are not addicted to praise. They do not adjust their values just to feel accepted. This alone makes them hard to understand. In a world where people define themselves by likes, by status, by followers, by group identity, the Stoic stands apart. Not with arrogance, but with self-possession. Epictetus taught that if you want to be free, do not wish for things to be as you want them to be. Wish instead for things to be as they are, and you will find peace. That includes people. That includes society. The Stoic does not bend to gain approval because they know who they are. And that self-knowledge creates an inner stillness that makes others wonder what drives them. People are confused by those who do not need constant feedback. Most live through the eyes of others, but the Stoic lives through the strength of their own principles. They do not seek to belong everywhere, because they have already found home in their own mind. They do not chase validation, because they have validated themselves through discipline and truth. This makes them unpredictable. It makes them powerful. You cannot shame a person who does not need praise. You cannot control someone who is not afraid of being alone. The Stoic understands that true connection is earned, not begged for. That real relationships come from shared values, not performance. And so they move through life without pretending, without chasing, without forcing. And that calm independence makes people curious. Who is this person who does not seek approval? Why does their silence carry weight? Why do they not care to impress? The answer is simple. They are free. And freedom always creates mystery. So if you want to carry yourself like the Stoics, learn to let go of the need to be liked. Stand in your truth, even if it makes you a little more alone. Because that space, that silence, that stillness is where your true power begins. That is the fourth Stoic behavior. Do not chase validation or belonging, and you will become someone others notice even when you say nothing at all. Behavior 5. You are deeply present but rarely available. There is something deeply magnetic about the person who is fully present, yet rarely available. When they are with you completely. They listen. They observe. They are not distracted. Their attention feels sharp and focused like it is a gift, not a habit. But when they leave, they are gone. No constant updates. No desperate need to stay in touch. Just presence in the moment and distance afterward. This is one of the most mysterious Stoic behaviors because it breaks the rhythm of modern life. Today, everyone is always online, always accessible, always trying to be everywhere at once. But the Stoic protects their time, their energy, and their attention. They are not available to everyone because they understand that what is always available is rarely valued. When they choose to give their presence, it means something. It is not automatic. It is earned. Marcus Aurelius lived this out even as emperor. He would write about the importance of focusing only on what is essential and removing everything else that distracted from virtue. The Stoic knows that scattering your presence weakens it, but focusing it deeply strengthens it. So when you speak with someone, you are fully there. Not multitasking, not half listening, but locked in. And that full presence creates an experience most people are not used to. It feels different. It feels powerful. Because it is rare. And then you withdraw. You do not linger. You do not chase. You return to your path. That rhythm creates depth and mystery. People do not know when they will see you again or hear from you again. And that unpredictability keeps your value high. The Stoic is not playing hard to get. They are just hard to distract. Their availability is limited because their focus is sacred. And that makes others respect their presence even more. When you stop trying to be constantly available, you stop diluting your worth. You start carrying yourself like someone who values their time and expects others to do the same. That makes people notice. That makes people remember. Because mystery is not just about being quiet. It is about being intentional. It is about giving the gift of presence without the trap of constant access. That is the fifth Stoic behavior. Be deeply present when you choose to be. But let your availability be rare. And your presence will carry the weight of something that cannot be taken for granted. You do not need to shout to be heard. You do not need to explain yourself to be understood. You do not need to perform to be respected. The ancient Stoics knew that mystery is not built by hiding. It is built by mastering. Mastering your words, your emotions, your presence, your focus. When you control your reactions, people pay attention. When you speak rarely but with depth, people lean in. When you move quietly and achieve without noise, people take notice. When you stop chasing validation, you become untouchable. And when you are present in the moment, but rarely available, by default you become unforgettable. These 5 Stoic behaviors are not tricks. They are tools. Tools for building inner strength that radiates outward. Tools for separating yourself from the crowd without ever needing to rebel against it. In a world where most people are easy to read, you will become unreadable. In a time when everyone wants to be seen, you will become someone others cannot ignore. That is the quiet advantage of the Stoic path. You confuse the ones who try to define you. You attract the ones who value depth. And you become someone who cannot be shaken by praise or criticism, because your sense of self comes from within. This is not about pretending to be something you are not. It is about removing what you are not so that what remains is real and steady and strong. You do not need permission to live this way. You do not need a crowd to follow it. You only need discipline. You only need clarity. And you only need to begin. So if this message spoke to you, if something in you felt the pull of a deeper way of life, then do not just watch this and forget it. Practice it. Use it. Become it.